Morning, good morning, good morning. Yes, here we are. We're going to get stuck into it this morning. The juggling of jobs, deciding what to do on the stream. You know, I sat there yesterday afternoon in the shop. I was doing a bit of carving on the blocks for this year's second print. We need a couple of adjustments to some of the color blocks. And I was thinking, wait, don't do it this afternoon. It'll be something I can do on the stream tomorrow morning. We haven't seen carving for a long time. But then, no, can't do it that way, because if I don't get that done, then this can't done. If I don't get that done, this can't. So juggling all the jobs. This one doesn't really need to be done today, but it sort of does need to be done today. I did some gluing the other day. I told you about this. Actually, I haven't opened it up. We're going to open it up and have a look at them today. We need more blocks, and we need them really, really quickly. So sort of the other jobs have to be pushed aside a little bit while I make some more blocks. The wood has been sitting here waiting for a while. I don't remember how much I showed you. I did show you. In fact, we had a stream about it. I opened a package of old blocks we got from auction, and I showed you some video of cutting them in half. They have now been planed down, and I've sized them and cut them, ready for making into wood blocks. And we're talking about this. We're making these. We're making our wood blocks for carving. And we've got quite a lot of cherry wood hanging around here, some good, some mediocre, a lot bad. And it's time to catch up and get some of it bonded. Block making. Not bookmaking, block making. Sandwich day, that's a good way to describe it. So that's this morning's job. Again, referring back to some previous streams, I did some of this the other day. I talked about it, and I mentioned that I had had some questions with the epoxy that we used to bond this. This is the leftover epoxy from this group, and it has become really, really hard. So the epoxy has worked, but it didn't give off any heat when it was curing. And going by what different people on the stream told me about, it seems that I've been working borderline at the low end of the temperature this stuff works at. The cans don't say anything about the temperature you should use this at, but it does say for storage, where is it? Somewhere around here. Hunt through all the fine, tiny type here. I can't find it on that one. Is it on this one? Yeah, keep it between 5 and 35 degrees centigrade. That's when you're storing it. It doesn't specifically mention when you're using it. And we're on the low end of this. This room gets down, certainly this room gets down to 5 degrees. At the moment it's 12, but the hot carpet's been on here for a couple of hours. So we've been on the low end of the temperature range. So what I did last night, I got the carpet ready here. I put the carpet on, and these cans have been sitting in a little box here with a cover on, and they've been warmed up overnight. So they are now warm to the touch. They're nowhere near the top end of that temperature scale, but they are no longer near freezing. So we'll see what happens as we use it today. Our experience so far, we've done this in summer and winter, the bonding has worked very, very well, so I don't think we have a problem, but let's be a bit more careful about it today. And this stuff, as we said the other day, the can says leave it 24 hours. It's still in there now after whatever it is, 2 or 3 days. So we'll crack it open this morning. So if the curing time takes longer because it's colder, we have covered ourselves. I think it's been in there for 3 days. Okay, so actually what we will need to do before I mix this stuff then, I should take this out. We're using a book press for this, and I've also learned not to crank it down too hard. The first time I did this, I cranked it as much as I possibly could, and it squeezed, my God, it must have squeezed 99% of the stuff out of there. This stuff should separate easy. I've got plastic sheets between it all. It should just pop right out. Yeah, one by one. Let's have a look. Are we on camera? Oh, it just slides right off. Doesn't glue at all. Interesting. Yeah, look at this. Interesting. You can see that's where the plastic sheet was. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Much better. I used newspaper last time and it was chaos peeling it off. This is going to work very well. I think we got it. I think we've got it. These should just slide out. Oh, it's going to stick. Hang on. What can I use to tap it? Next job for these, I won't do it on stream. I'll take our table saw and we will cut off the excess. Oh, two. We have some nice wood. This is all wood. In fact, I'm using some of the same stuff today. This is all wood that has been previously made into woodblock prints. You can see the carved shapes on the wood here. We've cut from the larger pieces. So this is wood that's going round for the second time. It has already been made into woodblock prints, and now it's going to have a second go, a second life. It's off. There it is. Oosh. Is there a musician in the house? Okay, let's mix. Let's mix. It's funny, this stuff, you know, it's the usual two-part epoxy, and the cans themselves don't tell you which ones are which. The only way to tell is the front doesn't say anything. It says two-part epoxy, blah, 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 blah. The label doesn't say anything. There's only one place on the entire can that tells us, and it's got the chemical name of the bonding agent. So it's the base chemical and the reaction chemical. That's the only place that tells us. The cans don't say A and B or left and right. I wonder how many people get the cans wrong. Whatever, anyway. Okay. And we're going to need 160 grams of this. I have experience now. I've been making notes. Oh, that reminds me. Something important. I know, remind me, towards we get to the end of this, we have this job to do, and we have a show and tell prepared, but there's something else that I'd like to go over today if we have time. And that is Murata-san's paper. I want to jump into topics here. Jumping to topics. Murata-san's paper. Last night I did some sizing on Murata-san's paper, ready to get going for the printing of the second print in this year's subscription series. And I realized as I was opening the package, ready to get the paper out, that before I start using some of that paper, her big package that she sent us, I need to collect data from it. So I remembered, and the package of whatever it is, 170 sheets of paper she sent us, I took it into the shop last night, worked with the staff there, got a couple of weigh scales, and we weighed her paper that she sent us. And we've got some data now extrapolated. We know how much kozo fiber she started with. We know how much her entire pack of paper weighs. So I've got some data that I've been struggling to find for years, literally years. So what I'd like to do is, after I finish my work here this morning, I want to talk about that data, put it into this stream, because people are storing these on the internet for future use. And I've got good data now, how many sheets of X size of paper you can get from raw mulberry. And I've been struggling to get that for years and years and years. So I want to put that data into the public domain today, and this is as good a place as any to do it. Remind me, just remind me. It's not, it'll be data for that particular type of paper under these particular type of circumstances, but anyway, it's a start. It is data. Now, what do I need here? I need a little scraper. Says he, not preparing a scraper. What can I use? I mean, even Murata-san herself didn't know how many sheets of paper can you get from a specific batch of fiber. But now we've got it. We've got it. Oh, this is much runnier than it was the other day, obviously. The other day I had to struggle to scoop it out of the can. Now it's pouring all over the place. Temperature. So we need 80 grams of each component here. And that'll give us enough to cover. Are we on camera? $79. Come on, give me one more gram. Plop. $80. Okay, we've got 80 grams. It's difficult to watch the chat and do this. I'm sorry. Difficult to watch. Answer questions. No idea. Numbers. What's this bullshit number? Actually, it's funny somebody mentions that. My brother, he's retired from, oh, look at this. This is like liquid. How am I going to do this? Okay, so we've got 80 grams showing on the scale now. We've got to run this to 160 grams. $46. Oh, sorry, trying to do too many things at the same time. My brother was a musician all his life. He's retired now. But as one of the things he used to do, not just playing music, he was also a music copyist. I think there really is no such job anymore. It's all done by computer output now. But in the old days, a composer or an arranger for a show or something they'd write the music in a score form and send it out to a copyist, and the copyist would write out the parts for the saxophone, the violin, and all that kind of stuff. So it was a legitimate job. You had to be fast because this stuff was always happening overnight. And my brother became a good music copyist. And he had his own raw music sheets, you know, the paper printed with the staff lines on it and stuff, ready for copying into. And at the bottom of it, because he had a sense of humor, has a sense of humor, he put the name of his agency, and it was called Bullsheet Music. Bullsheet Music. Ha ha ha. But yeah, there we have it. So I guess our data now, that's right. The paper we are making. We shouldn't use Murata-san's name, we should use my name. Bullsheets. I need 3 more grams. Oh, 1 over. Oh, no, it's 160 exactly. That was the stick that was over. Good, 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 good. Okay. It's not. We're now at 160. Now, here's the deal. Of course, mixing, it's going to mix much easier, you know. The other day, it was so stiff. I've already got it on my fingers. Crap. Yeah, it's mixing much easier. My God, it took me ages the other day. It was so stiff. I'd mix and mix and mix until it had the right creamy appearance, you know. We talked about this last time. When you think you've mixed enough, you're maybe halfway there. It's also going to be interesting to see, is this going to get warm? Because the last couple of times I've done this, it didn't get warm at all. I thought this stuff was supposed to get so hot it was a fire danger. But anyway, we'll see what happens today. And someone says it's now going to set in a couple of minutes. The can says 24 hours, so I think we're okay. Say when. I'm scraping right to the bottom, around and around and around. I think we're okay. It looks very creamy. The two colors are different. One's orange and one's clear. And I don't see any stripiness. What's the consensus, gang? Can I move ahead now? Have we mixed enough? No, I didn't. When you think you're done, you're halfway there. I more. I. Do we have experts here or just people making noise? Taste test, yeah, thank you very much for the helpful suggestions. Zeno's epoxy. Those of you who were late to the stream, or actually those of you who were on time and you missed the early chat, we had a little a back and forth in the pre-chat today before I started the stream. You know, I had a confession to make in that I went to the pool today. So the thing is, I didn't mention it in the pre-chat, but this morning I knew I had to get ready upstairs here, get all the stuff ready, and I hadn't prepared too well last night. So I sat there this morning at about 6:30. Should I really go to the pool? Dave, do I have enough time to go to the pool, do the thing, and then get back and set up properly for the stream? It's going to be really touch and go, you know. So should I take a day off the pool? Should I just take it easy this morning and relax and get the stream ready? And there's the two demons, one demon on one shoulder. Go to the pool, do your job, don't fool around, take a day off. How can you think about such a thing? And the other birdie on the other shoulder says, it's okay, just once in a while you can do this, you know. But Dave's good birdie and the bad birdie, they're fighting each other, you know. And the good birdie won. Let's get going, Dave. If you start the slippery slope and take a day off the pool, it's the end of life, you know. So I got my gear, got my towel, got my bag and whatever, and I walked over to there. It's okay. Once you've decided to go, it's fine, you know. It's not a chore to swim. It's actually a pleasant morning, you know. So. But I get over there to the pool, 2 minutes walk from here. I get to the door, and it's dark. It's closed. Then the penny drops. It's a holiday today. I can't get in the pool today. There is no morning session. So the bad birdie on my shoulder says, see, I told you we didn't have to do that this morning. So okay, let's go. Okay, how do we do this? All right, the thing is, I'm still not sure what the rules are on this epoxy. I'm thinking back to when I was a guitar maker. Get a guitar bridge and you're gluing it at the guitar top. When you're making furniture, whatever things you're doing. When you are, well, this has got paper on it. Let's get rid of that. When you are gluing together two pieces of wood, is it necessary to coat both sides with your glue? Or can I coat just one side and glue it together? Don't forget the plastic on the bottom before you start. John, it's all right here, and right here. The plastic is right here in front of me. And okay, one sheet going in the bottom. I think I was okay on that, but all right, no problem, no problem, no problem. So do you need to coat both sides? And the rule I think I try and remember from our high school shop teacher, you know, as far as I remember, the rule was coat, if it's good flat surface and you've got good contact, the rule is both sides thinly. But that was when we were using wood glue. This was in a pre-epoxy era. Oh, that's another piece of news too. That's going to be funny. So I'm not sure still about this. Well, pre-epoxy, I don't mean pre-epoxy. What I mean is we didn't use the epoxy glue so much. We were using wood glues. We used hide glue and we had the white stuff. What's it called? Polyvinyl chloride glue or something. I don't ever remember using epoxy glues in shop class in school. We're talking 1960s here, early 1960s. And I guess they existed, but I'm not sure if they were a normal consumer product. Okay, let's get in the camera view here. So anyway, I think the same rule would follow. It's a good flat surface, so a light coat on both sides, I think, is the... We got good light here. There we go, one. It's going to be too much. Oh, something I forgot. It's in the bottom drawer here. It's in the cooking drawer. I'd forgotten about this. Last stream we did this. I totally didn't think about this and somebody reminded me. We really do have a cooking stream here this morning. Boom. Is this cherry from the storage? This is cherry from wood blocks that we bought on Yahoo Auction, oh, I don't even know, maybe 10 years ago. These were a set of wood blocks. As you can see, they've been carved. It's all been chopped apart. I split them up on my bandsaw over in Ome. We planed one side, the side that I cut on the bandsaw, I then planed to a rough flatness, not any kind of mirror flatness. And the side that I planed, the bandsaw side, is now getting glued. And then after these blocks are bonded together, I will then put them in the planer and finish the other side. The salt thing, I had totally forgotten. The last time we did this, I didn't use salt or sugar. And somebody in the chat, I don't remember who it was, I'm sorry, somebody reminded me, because we had had trouble. It was sliding and slipping. And somebody reminded me of that old woodworker's trick, putting salt or sugar in And the grittiness, the grittiness stops the stuff from sliding too much. And I was very embarrassed that I had not remembered that. I don't remember who it was. It doesn't totally stop it, but it certainly helps. It retards it somewhat. Looking good. This one has paper on it. I got to get rid of the paper. Isn't this a wonderfully interesting stream this morning? No, I'm not. I'm putting the wet one aside. Hopefully it'll dry before we get to the end of the stack here. I was washing off paper. It had the old, I know some of these wood blocks that have been used for printing, there's bits of paper still on them from the tracings. I should have washed it off last night, so I just washed that one off now, and I will put it at the bottom of my stack, and hopefully an hour from now it'll be dry. Dry enough to glue up. Sorry about that. Okay, let's continue. I remembered my list. You know, the other day I've been talking about this classic list of notes I'm supposed to talk about and things like this, but I can't read it. I scribbled it too much. The shuttle bus story. Did we mention the shuttle bus story? Oh, it's just an only in Japan story. I shouldn't tell too many only in Japan stories because it makes Japan look like this sort of stupid place. I know. Did we mention the shuttle bus story? I don't know. I'm a little bit embarrassed to talk about it. Whatever. Up in Hakuba. Is it Hakuba? Yeah, Hakuba, the ski area up in northern Nagano. Is it Nagano or Niigata? It's Nagano desho. Yeah. What are our hours of operations? Our shop is open at 10 till 5:30 every day except Tuesday. The shuttle bus in Hakuba, my God. Okay, the background is this. I know, well, a lot of you know about this already. The Japanese government is desperately trying to direct tourists out of the main areas. You know, there's a huge number of people visiting Japan these days. Everybody wants to go to the same place, Mokuhankan, whatever, Sensoji Temple, Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto. And many, many places are overloaded with tourists, and a lot of places are not so overloaded with tourists. So there's a policy now at all levels of government in Japan to do what you can to instigate policies that might help reduce tourism in urban areas and encourage tourism in rural areas. And this is fine, nothing wrong with this, absolutely. But this means that then people in many of these areas are coming up with policies. Let's see, what can we do to help this happen? And maybe at the same time, how can we get some government money, to help make it happen? So there's a deal. Up in Hakuba, it's a small resort town in Japan, and it's been flooded with so many people who want to enjoy the skiing up there that the numbers of restaurants and accommodation things are not matching up. There's too much demand. So people are getting off the ski slopes at the end of a day in Hakuba, and the restaurants are all jammed, all full. Now, that supply and demand should take care of this, but it's not so easy in a small town in some mountainous area that is really busy when there's a ski time on, and of course not so busy for the rest of the year. So supply and demand is what it is, but it's a bit difficult here. So the local government has had this idea. In the neighboring town to Hakuba, where there is no ski lift, there are still resorts. There's ryokans and hotels, and there's restaurants. So somebody's got the wonderful idea, sounds great on paper, someone's got the idea, let's build a shuttle bus system where the skiers can come off the mountain there in Hakuba, jump on the shuttle bus, and take the bus to the neighboring town there and have dinner, and the bus will be waiting and bring them back to Hakuba where they've got their accommodation. So there's two buses. One is the accommodation shuttle bus, where it takes people out to a different hotel in the next town. So at the end of your day skiing in Hakuba, you jump on the bus, go to your hotel, which is in the next town. Then there's the dinner shuttle bus. So the dinner shuttle bus is, you do your skiing for the day, you get to the bottom of the slopes there, your hotel is there, but there's no room for dinner, so you get on the dinner shuttle bus, drops you over to the next town there, and it comes back, like an hour and a half later after everybody's had dinner. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? What could go wrong is this. When you say the next town, we're not talking about like Ome and Higashiome, where I live out there on the train, People get on the dinner shuttle bus. The dinner shuttle bus is based on the concept of enjoying tourism in Hakuba and food in Omachi, the next town. A medium-sized bus which seats 27 passengers will operate on weekdays, blah, 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 blah. It leaves from Hakuba Tokyo Hotel and the bus terminal in the evening, travels to the hot spring district. Passengers will have dinner in Omachi and return to Hakuba by 10 p.m. Passengers with prior reservations will be given priority, but people without reservations will be able to board the bus if there are seats available. Sounds fine. So your Australian gang of tourists gets off the slopes, boom, boom, boom. They've got their hotel, no restaurants. There's the dinner bus. They get on it. The bus comes out of the terminal, it goes down the road towards the place where they're going to go and get dinner. 5 minutes go by. No problem. 10 minutes go by. A couple of these Australian guys, they're getting a little hungry. Hey, driver, how much longer? The 10 minutes have gone by. The driver turns around and says, only 80 more minutes. It's a 90-minute one-way trip to go and get your dinner. Like, what is going on here? And I can imagine the Australians in the back of this bus turn this thing around, let's go. And these people have built this thing. The local tourism people, whatever, they have built this thing. It might make sense to go to your hotel, whatever, to have the hotel or something like this. But to go out for dinner on an 80-minute bus ride, have your dinner, then come back, another 80 minutes. And they're expecting people to I don't even want to talk about this, whatever. I read this story, and I thought maybe the people who wrote the newspaper story got it wrong. So I went to the website, the Hakuba tourist website, and yeah, there it is. And this is how it's up and running right now. This is not some projected thing. This is actually happening right now. This bus is running. It's available. People are using it. Or not. I mean, it's there. Whether they're using it or not, I don't know. It says, what route are they taking? Well, I don't know. There's the thing here. There's the map. And it says a one-way trip will take 90 minutes. It says a one-way trip will take 90 minutes on the accommodation shuttle and 80 minutes on the dinner shuttle bus. I don't know what the route. I've never been up there, so I don't know the names of the streets and stuff. Is there a highway, or are they taking back roads? I don't know. Also, too, speaking of tourist stuff, tourist business, I guess it is now getting closer. There have been teasings about the changes to the tax-free system over the past few months. And it seems now that the government has, I guess, decided what to do with the tax-free system. There's been different reports saying that there have been struggles inside the government between the tourism thing, promoting tourism, and then the taxation department. And it seems that the tax department has won. And the new rules for the tax-free are going to be coming into play sometime in the coming spring, maybe in April. So those of you who are going to be traveling in Japan, there's a bit of a change coming to the tax-free system that you're perhaps not going to like. It's switching to one that is common in Europe, where when you're doing your shopping, you pay taxes at the cash register. You just buy stuff for a normal price, the same as people who live in the area. And you keep your receipt, and you show your passport to prove you're a tourist, and you keep your receipt. And then when you get to the airport on the way out, you apply for a refund. And it seems that system has now been decided. I say seems because we have not yet received the official notification from the tax department about this, but it seems that it's a done deal. It's going to affect us quite strongly. And we've, when we've been thinking about this and chatting about this with people, everybody doesn't like this idea because they all say the same thing. Oh my God, line up at the airport to get your money back. And then when they do give you your money back, you have a pocket full of Japanese yen 2 minutes before you get on an airplane. And it seems that it might not be quite that bad. What they are planning is not a window where you go and line up and get cash. They are planning kiosks scattered all through the airport before you check your baggage. So you get to the airport and there's these kiosks, stations, and hopefully hundreds of them, thousands of them, so there's no lineups, but I don't know. Maybe it'll just be one at the beginning, I don't know. You go to the kiosk, you stick your passport in the slot. Now that connects to the system because when you buy the products, your passport data is read. We do that at Mokuhankan. We read the customer's passport data. So okay, you get to the airport, you stick your passport in the slot, it reads it, and it knows what shopping you have done. And one of two things will then happen. It will then say, looks good, all confirmed, you're cleared for takeoff. Stick your credit card in the slot in the machine, and it will add to your credit card. It will make like a chargeback type of thing on your credit card. I don't know the name of the type of transaction. But it will add the amount in a reverse charge to your credit card all the amount of taxes that you have paid while you were shopping in Japan. Or option B, it will say beep, beep, beep. Something doesn't quite match up here, or maybe you've got too much shopping, or XXX. Please go over to the tax window and chat with one of our agents. So if it works smoothly for most people, it'll be it. You'll stick your passport in the machine, stick your credit card in the machine. A minute or two later, your credit card has been covered up, topped up with the amount that you paid in your tax. If that actually comes to fruition, comes to reality, then it really will be a smooth, no-hassle system. And this is going to happen before you check in, because for those of you who have done something that triggers the system, it will say this needs an inspection by a customs agent. He will say, show me this stuff that you bought. We want to verify that you're taking it out of Japan. And that's why they do this before you check in your baggage, so that you've still got stuff. Well, someone says, I couldn't imagine a more complicated system. It's actually not really a complicated system, if that's actually how it comes to pass. Lining up at a tax window in the middle of a million other people and getting yen cash back before you get on a plane. This is going well, going smoothly. What's our time? Coming up to 9 o'clock. Any negative impact for us as a retailer? Well, prices will be higher. People will have to pay the full price with tax, which is 10% in Japan. So perhaps at the point of sale, some people might back off a particular purchase because they're paying more. So perhaps we would lose some sales. I don't know. For us, the problem comes in the back end, the bookkeeping and accounting. It looks like it might be a lot more complicated for us, because we ourselves, when we do a tax-free sale, without talking too much about taxes today, when we do a tax-free sale, we get a refund of the tax that we paid for the products to make that product. Like when we buy washi paper, we pay consumption tax on it. But if it turns out that it's a foreigner, a tourist, who buys that print made from that paper, then we get a refund of the tax we paid to make that print. So at our end, this can get staggeringly complicated. But the problem for us then is, if we sell a print to you, we will charge tax. And then if at the airport you get a refund, then we need a refund of what we paid for the paper. But if you didn't bother checking out at the airport, if you just left the country and paid the tax, then Mokuhankan doesn't get a refund for that tax. So we need to know at our end which one of you skipped the country doing this and who didn't do it. This is where we're afraid that this might get really, really, really complicated for us. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3. There's room for 2 more. My hands are sticky now. And a moment ago, I touched my hair. And back of my hand. Yeah, there is. I've got epoxy in my hair. And nothing I can do about it right now except wait. After I finish this, don't touch my hair, don't touch my hair. And one of the girls downstairs will have to try and get rid of it without losing all my hair. What have I done? Maybe next time you'll see me, there will be a bald patch. I am not going to touch my head. Nanda. What are we doing? This is a solid piece, so it goes on the back of this one. This is next. Yeah. It's like forgetting to wash your hands after chopping chilies before going to the toilet. I can't say I've ever done that, but whatever. Someone's asking the best kind of wood to use. It all depends on what you're going to be making. I have no idea what to recommend for you without knowing what you're doing. If you're making prints that have delicate key, fine lines, whatever, you need a hardwood. If you're making simple prints with just color masses, you don't need a hardwood. I can't say. I'm sorry. Do I wear a swim cap at the pool? You know, I do, and I should have put I should have put it on now. A bit late now. I'm sorry, but yeah, good idea in retrospect. Thank you. Way too much here. Put in the next one. Oh, crunch, crunch. I'm having a lot left over here. When I did this the other day, I made the same thing, 160, and I sort of just barely had enough. Today I made 160, and it looks like I've got lots extra. It could be because of the viscosity, Nate. Because it's flowing so smoothly now, I guess I'm getting a thinner coat, maybe. I'm not sure if this is good news or bad news. The other day, the viscosity was much greater. It was difficult for me to spread it around because it was so cold, the glue. I think I'm okay at the end of the day because when we put the pressure on this, hauntingly, most of this stuff squeezes out. The other day, there was so much squeeze out. So I think because it's a thinner coat here this time, there will be less squeeze out. But at the end of the day, I think it'll be the same result. So I got to remember then when I'm making these, if it's a chilly day, I'll need to make 160 grams. But if it's warmer, then I don't need to make quite as much because it spreads easier. Live and learn, live and learn. It's okay. As someone's got epoxy work is very sensitive to temperature. It seems so. I didn't realize quite how much it was. Some says I should work with a filter for epoxy. This stuff is pretty toxic. Well, I don't know about that. I know not to toss off your suggestion, but I found with this stuff that, for example, my hands now are covered with this. 10 seconds with warm water and it comes off completely. There's no inflammation. I don't have any reaction to this. I've never, ever had any problem with this. And it washes off in a moment. It seems to me the epoxy I used to use was crazy. It would crust on your fingers and you couldn't wash it off, and days later you were peeling it off and stuff like this. This stuff, literally, it washes off in seconds under the warm water on the tap. So I'm not trying to be too blasé about this. I get the idea that some of this stuff really is difficult and dangerous, but this, literally, it washes off. There's way more left over than it was last time. Very, very different. How's our time? Coming up to 9 o'clock. Oh, we're quite early then, but it might take me a minute to wrestle with this. I think actually when we come to press it in a minute, we're going to have a problem. The other day, I did 5 of these things. You saw me just take them out just now, and they just barely fit in the press. When it was wide open, I just barely could squeeze them in. So it should be okay today, it seems, but some of the wood that I'm gluing on here is thicker, because we still need to plane it on one side. Some of this wood is thicker, and it may be that I can't get the 5th one into the press here. We'll find out in a minute. I should have tested this before I glued it up, but here we are. Okay, there's the one I washed. I think it's okay. Right? That's the one I washed. It's dry enough now, I'm sure, to do this. If it doesn't go in, I guess there's plan B here. I have behind me on the counter here, there's an etching press, a small etching press. And I can rig that up, I guess, in a minute to put some pressure on the top of this. So no panic if this doesn't fit. Show and tell today. Yeah, I have a show and tell standing by. No, the bottle jack, actually I can't find the bottle jack. I think Aoyama-san used it for something else, and I can't find it. I looked for it a while ago to see if I could use it for this job, and I can't find the bottle jack. It's around here somewhere, I guess, but I don't know where. Oh, the numbers. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, all right. Yes, good, good. But okay, we'll get last time. It's 9 o'clock now. We've got this pressing to finish. Then we've got some numbers to talk about, and then we have show and tell. So there's totally no problem today. Unless I forget something, whatever. Keep reminding me. Thank you. Okay, so I'm not going to want to go in. Okay, just one second. Let me wash my hands first here. One second. Epoxy, it's it. Wash just warm water and soap. It's okay. I was very, 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 very surprised. Maybe I'm okay. Somewhere there's a dab up there. No idea. There's a little dab up there somewhere. it works. So be it. This epoxy, whatever, I don't even know, but it is epoxy, and there you have it. The thing itself too, it's not getting warm. This has no more warmth than it would have just from sitting here. So I don't know. That's all I can report, what it is. Okay, now let's get going in here. It seems that I can't fit this in. But what I'll try and do is, I'm going to make a first press, squeeze them down, then lift it up, and maybe then there will be room for this to go inside. Did I put a plastic sheet on? Yes. Squeeze carefully, I don't want to slip. I put salt in there, but if I'm not careful, this stuff will still slip under pressure. Seems okay. All right, let's crank her down a bit. No, there's no way that's going to fit. No way. Let's try them. Let's pull it back. Now that they're squeezed in, maybe I'll be able to get enough room. I doubt it. I think I've... No, not going to go in there. Not going to go in. No way. Sorry about that. Another public demonstration of incompetence. Check. Looks good. Looks good. Looks good. Okay, so I should have got the etching press ready. It's not. That's going to take a while. So, plan B. Plan B. Over here on this bench. Newspaper. Plastic sheet. Second plastic sheet. Stack of blocks. Okay, so for now I've just put some weight on top of it to hold it. It'll hold it for a while till I can get it under the press after the stream. Okay, now, plan B. This stuff can clean up later. Let me get the stuff into the sink. One sec, wash it with warm water later. Oh, salt everywhere. The press can go down on the floor. Ooh, this is heavy now. Okay, those numbers. I need a pen. Okay, we're going to change pace here. For those of you who weren't here at the beginning of this stream, I got some numbers to toss out into the world. We've now been exploring papermaking, and we've got some data that I myself have been struggling to find for many years, but we now have some data available on the relationship between causal fiber the mulberry fiber that we use to make paper and how many sheets we can get from any given weight of mulberry fiber. Now, most of you don't care about this, but I'm sorry. I really want to put this down here, get it into the stream. It's going to be stored on YouTube, and that data will be available to whoever needs to know it as time goes by. So let me just toss these numbers out right now, and I think there will be enough people out here who know what's going on. Okay, we've received now all of the paper from Murata-san that she made from our batch. We gave her 10.2 kilograms of white mulberry fiber. Now this is with the black stuff taken away. This fiber now is the stuff that becomes paper. So in a perfect situation, 10 kilograms of mulberry fiber would result in 10 kilograms of paper. It doesn't work like that. And now here's the actual numbers. She gave us, all in all, from the 10.2 kilograms, she gave us 267 sheets of paper. Now it came in 3 batches. I brought 17 sheets the first day. There were, I don't remember the numbers, the next batch and the next batch. They came in 3 batches. 17 sheets, something sheets, and then 176 sheets. But the point being, we got 276 sheets of paper out of it. I started to use it right away. We did some for testing. I took a bunch out to do the first print, the takeoff print. I took some more out to make the takeoff print. And then I realized, Dave, you were destroying the data here. So what happened was she sent it to us in 3 batches. Last night, I took paper out of the 3rd batch. This is the batch you saw me open on the Twitch stream a while ago. 267. That's the number, 267. Stick with me here. So last night I finally realized before I take the paper out for the 2nd print, here is my chance. So the 2nd batch of paper, it had 176 sheets, and we weighed it at the shop. We weighed it carefully, and we got 3,324 grams. So I'm sorry, don't be confused by those 2 numbers. The batch we weighed was 176, which gave us this. Now we weighed it a few different ways. We don't have a scale we've got a human scale and we've got a small scale, and you can't combine both. So we did it with random trials, me standing on, the different women standing on, and we got this data. The 176 sheets is that weight. Now extrapolating back up to the 267, assuming we've got a random sample here, that means for 267 sheets, the entire batch, it weighed 5,043 grams. Now this is interesting because we gave 10.2 kilograms of fiber. So we've got almost exactly, this is to a decimal place, this is almost exactly 1/2 of the fiber became actual paper. Now that's a bit lower than I had expected, but that's what the numbers say. 10.2 kilograms of fiber became 5.043 kilograms of actual washi. Now this is ignoring one little thing. At somewhere along the production line, she put in some rice powder. So the fiber was boiled, the fiber was pounded, there was chili taken away from it, and then it was washed, which removed a whole bunch of the starch, decreasing the weight, and then just before rocking, a bit of rice powder was added. She doesn't know how much. She just said, I put some in. So that is a little bit of fudging on this data. We say half the fiber became paper, but that's not quite true. It must be a little bit less. We added rice to bring it up to half. Now, the other qualification here that I've got to add before I can make this data usable by other people, how many sheets of paper, we need to know how big the sheets are and how thick the sheets are. So here's the deal. The paper that we had her make was not normal size Japanese paper. It was a size that we need for our prints. We get 8 of our new DF prints out of this, and the size was this, 40 by 53. Now what that means is in square centimeters, if we take a normal Japanese sheet, 45 by 55 to 57. This is the typical size Japanese sheet that will, for example, it'll make 2 great waves or so. This one is 121% bigger in surface area. So we said we got 267. I'm like some stupid teacher drawing things on the blackboard that nobody can understand. So for our specific paper, we got 267 sheets. But to put this number system into something more sensible for typical Japanese hosho paper, that would have only made us, it would have made 220 sheets. So the 10 kilograms of fiber would make 220 standard sheets of Japanese paper, which means each sheet of paper takes 46 grams of raw material and ends up with 23 grams of raw material at the end, 23 grams of finished paper. So there's the number that I want to get out of there, out there. This kozo stuff, this kozo fiber, the piece that's a bit bigger and easier for you to look at. This kozo fiber, white fiber, 10 kilograms of it would make standard Japanese paper 220 sheets of hosho paper at an average thickness. If you've asked them to make your paper much, 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 much thicker, you'll get fewer sheets. If you've asked them to make it super thin, you'll get more. But that's at an average. We've asked her for average thickness. So for what it's worth, I've wanted to know these numbers forever and ever. I've asked Iwano-san, we don't know. They just don't know and don't care. But here it is. What's the average thickness? This was, the Murata-san number was 0.20. So the thickness here was 0.2 of a millimeter. Do I need to put that down? The thickness we were using, and she did her micrometer on it, and it was 0.2 millimeters, 0.20 millimeters. And as you saw, she gave me the batch. There were X at 20, X at 22, X at 19, X at 25. I've averaged this out. All these numbers are averaged across the batch because each sheet of paper is absolutely different from the one next to it. Grams per square meter you're asking about. I didn't do that. I'm sorry. There's the numbers. You can work it out yourself, I guess. That's one number that I didn't do because I didn't think that's useful for me. Grams per square meter. But you've got the numbers there. You can do that. Whatever. There's some data out into the public domain here now. Seems like this should be the number of square centimeters of paper that weigh a certain amount per square meter. That or an actual measure. Yeah, okay, that is. But I myself don't use the 89 number. What do I think is the cause? Where's the question? What's the loss in mass? Okay, a few things. We wash this like crazy. When it's, well, okay, numbers, going right back to the beginning. We washed it first and then threw it in for boiling. While it's boiling in the alkali, the thing itself just starts to break apart. The cellular structure breaks down and the thing breaks apart. The water becomes brown. All kinds of crap comes out into the water. We scoop it out of the water after boiling. So something has been lost while it's been boiling because the water became dirty brown. So something is gone at that point already. We can no longer weigh it now because it's all wet and thick and floppy, so weighing it makes no sense to compare. It then gets beaten, pounded, 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 pounded. And while I was beating it too, I noticed there, bang, little bits of stuff would fly up and out. And so there's a little tiny loss at the beating. It then gets the chiritori picked out of it. And if that was really aggressive, you're picking material out of this and throwing it away. There's some marginal loss there. But the largest loss by far comes at the kamidashi step, when you wash the paper, wash the fiber before making the paper. This will all be in the upcoming video. The paper goes into a cheesecloth sack water flows through, the stream water flows through, and the pulp is mixed with your hand, and white clouds flow away. And this is dämpfen. And scientifically, I don't know what this really means, but I can just repeat what I've been told. We are washing out hemicellulose. I don't know what that means. I'm just passing on the expression. What you're seeing is dämpfen, starch, and described as hemicellulose. These are washing away, and I guess ideally is just to leave the fibers themselves, not actual stuff that was inside the cells, inside the actual cells of it. And that is where most of this loss happens. The fiber then goes into a bucket. There was a small amount of rice powder mixed in, and boom, it's then formed into sheets. There's a forming agent there, the hibiscus root, but again, we are told that that's only in the water and that it drains away as the water leaves. So that doesn't add any mass to the product, supposedly. The paper's then pressed, water's out, dried on the boards, water's out, we've got the finished paper. What do these numbers give you practically? What they do, they give me data now. I have been trying to build for Murata-san a spreadsheet for her business. If X amount of fiber comes in, you make X sheets of paper, the price at X, can you make a living doing this? How many sheets of paper do you need to make? At what size? At what price? At what discount for people to buy 1,000 sheets at a time? How's your business model? And I could not build her spreadsheet for the business model without knowing how much paper came out of the raw fiber. And now I've done this. I got this data the other day, and I have finished for her a spreadsheet that shows a potential business model for her, working by herself, plus alpha, working with 1 assistant, 2 assistants, making sheets, selling them at 3,000 yen, 4,000 yen, whatever the price. We now have a real spreadsheet based on real data that we can now plug some variables in and see if she has a business model. And it's no secret, I think she has a wonderful, wonderful business model there. If she can't make a living doing this, nobody can. It's doable. It's really doable. And for the first time now, I know that it is possible to run a traditional papermaking workshop and to make a living at it. I'm going to remeasure. So someone's asking me what's going to go on. Every batch of paper we receive from her from now on, we're going to measure really carefully everything that goes into this and out of this. Next time, I want her numbers on that rice powder to the gram. And next time when the paper comes in, we are going to measure every sheet of it, not take half of the batch and extrapolate from something different. So there it is. The paper is going to be expensive. It's not going to be, well, what's the definition of the word? The price is going to be higher than it has been. She's going to charge me for this paper more than living national treasure Iwano-san has paid for his paper. We've told her to do this already, because for years now, paper prices have been too low. Just as an example, my God, you're not going to believe this. Okay, the paper that we got from you, imagine that's the sheet of paper. Here's a sheet of Murata-san's paper, the one I just showed you. I told you a minute ago, after we do it, we size it, and we cut it, and it's going to make 8 prints. Now these prints in our series, what's the current price? The price at the moment is $55 for one of our subscription prints. So 55 times 8, I'm going to get myself in trouble here by... Make sure I do this before I really embarrass myself by screwing around and getting everything wrong. 55 times 8. So the retail price we're going to receive, for this whole batch of paper is we're going to receive $440. Now, of course, we have to do all the carving. We have to do all the printing. We have to do shipping and packing and run a shop and everything else, blah, 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 blah. But at gross revenue from this sheet of paper, so how much should I pay? Now, Iwano-san, some of the paper we're buying from him has been on the order of around 2,500 yen. This is dollars, this is yen. So 2,500 yen in dollars How do we do this? 2,500 yen divided by 100, let's say 145. That's an exchange rate that's going on around here. $17. So the paper, one sheet of paper, has been costing me $17 to make revenue of $440. And people talk about this paper as being the most expensive paper in the world. There is tons of room for this to go up. Tons of it. We've had this conversation. We've been telling Junsan, raise your prices, pay your mulberry people more. And they're like, no, this is the way it's always been. So we are cutting and running now with Murata-san. We are forcing her to pay nearly triple this price. Nearly triple. That's going to be her base price. Some of you are not going to like this because you're going to want to buy Murata-san's paper. We are forcing it up, up, up. And then when we get the power to, we are going to try and force the price up in the farm that we're paying the mulberry fiber people. We're doing this backwards. I'm using their stuff. I should be trying to get the prices down, but we're trying to push it up, back and back and back. Someone's saying, how big are the printers and carvers' salary? It's a big, big number. What we try to shoot for, this is a really wide range because different kinds of prints have very different kinds of margins. We are trying to shoot for a craftsman's price. The printers of 25% of retail is what we're shooting for, trying to shoot for. And for the carvers, we're trying to shoot for a price 16% of retail. And we don't always get there. We don't always get this. And some of the carvers these days are on salary. So it's really, really difficult to match what we're paying them with a specific piece of paper. Dave's idea for this business was to try and pay the carvers only in royalty. 16% of retail price. But it hasn't been practical to do that because we don't sell the prints for a long time after the blocks are made. John says, we can't sustain an industry whose suppliers are trying to price themselves into bankruptcy. Those suppliers will disappear. We will stick with the suppliers who are going to play ball with us. We've got Murata-san. We're going to work to enlarge that. If we have to buy a mountain and start growing our own mulberry, we will do that. We can make this happen. Am I comfortable sharing a royalty per designers? That's negotiable, and I'm not going to throw that out there. All I'm going to do is say that the royalty we pay our designers is very much compatible with the same kind of royalty that book publishers pay for people who write books. I think it's very much an equivalent thing. And it very much depends on their level of fame and how much bargaining power they bring to the table and how much they think they're responsible for the sales. So the design royalty isn't an actual thing per sheet where somebody's doing the work one by one by one. Design royalty is a more ethereal thing which has a different kind of value. So I don't have a number for you for designers. It's a flexible scale and there's a bit of arm wrestling come into play here. Have I given some thought about enticing Adachi's printers? Oh, look at this 920. My God, show and tell. Whatever, show and tell can wait. Okay, the last question then, Adachi's printers. I have started investigations, and it is an interesting thing happening. For the next year, I will not be able to make use of printer power from some of the people who work for Adachi. There's a thing happening in Japan at the moment called the NHK Taiga Drama, the large-scale drama. That's a weekly program that runs through the year here in Japan. And this year's theme is about ukiyo-e printing. It's focusing on one man, Tsutomu Zaburo, the top publisher back in the late 1700s. And ukiyo-e then, here in Japan domestically, is going to boom like crazy for this year. It's not going to affect Mokuhankan much because Japanese people don't know about us. But all the domestic printmakers, people like Adachi, who is #1 and who is working with NHK on the production scenes, they are booming this year. It's not going to be possible. Dave has picked the worst possible time to do this. It's not going to be possible for me to beg, borrow, or steal, or kidnap any of the talent from Adachi this particular year. so be it. It's actually good news. There's nothing bad here. Where are they going to get the paper for all these new prints? Iwano-san is still making paper. Please don't misunderstand this. Dave has been planning for the future. There are still paper makers busy. There are still mulberry people growing mulberry. The reason I've been focusing on this for the past year or so is because I'm trying to jump ahead to a future where the current production disappears. There is still stuff being printed. And yes, this thing from NHK may actually really help get some interest going from newer people. And if we miss this opportunity, we shouldn't. We should be doing our own promotion this year, looking for young printers. And this program might really, really, really help us. We'll see. It's an opportunity waiting for me to grab it. Okay, we've gone over time. I'm sorry. There was just too much content here for this particular stream, gluing those things together. And I really, really wanted to put some of this data out where other people could maybe have a chance to use it. If I've forgotten some numbers here, let me know. If there's something I need to add to make this a bit more useful, let me know. But at the moment, this is what I've learned last night, so this is out for where we go. Okay, today's Monday. Thursday stream, I don't think it will be Ome. I think Dave is now going to be a printer. I did sizing last night. On some of them are out of paper. I will be doing the key block printing tomorrow. And Thursday stream and Saturday stream will almost certainly be in the printing bench. And we'll see a Skytree view in the morning, and then we'll see some printing. Okay, a bit chaotic here today. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in a couple of days. Things are cooking here, Hontoni, hontoni, hontoni. Things are cooking. Bye for now. See you later. 3, 2, 1.